Hello everybody, today I will be talking about the skill hint books and I'm going to talk about why they are going to be very important and how you could effectively use them well. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing as it will help with the channel growth. Anyways, let's talk about the skill hint books. Firstly, it is very simple. They reduce the amount of skill points that you need in total in order to buy a skill based on your Uma's initial skills or awakening skills. As an example over here, this is going to be the anime version of Tokai Teo, and if we get preferred position and also race planner, we would save ourselves a total of 108 skill points. Instead of needing 360 skill points, we only need to spend 252, which is going to be very important because our runs do not give that much amount of skill points. At max, you expect about 1.8 thousand or about 2000 skill points in a Unity Cup run. So this is going to be a decent chunk and it could potentially get you an extra skill. So how much does it take for us to max out a hint level for a skill? For the common skills, we only need 12 book of hints, 6 textbook of hints, 30 dream glamours, 80,000 monies. For the gold skills, unfortunately, you need 24 gold book of hints, 12 gold textbook of hints, 120 glimmers, and 800,000 total amount of monies in order to get a single rare skill to their max level hints, which is going to be very expensive. However, they recently have increased the amount of rewards that you get on a career, so the amount of money that you would need is going to take much less time in order to accumulate. However, let's say in a scenario that you want to max a character completely in terms of their hands, since they either are very strong character or they are your favorite Oshi. So how much would it take? If we quickly swap over here, as you can clearly see, let's take Tiamobra for example, okay? If we scroll all the way down, each character has 5 common skills and 2 gold skills, which means that if we go back here again, let's see the total. We would need 60 book of hints, 30 textbook of hints, 48 gold book of hints, and 24 gold textbook of hints, I believe. The names are very wild for me. I'm sorry going to be sidetracked, but just very quickly, as you can clearly see, some stuff are clearly different. I'm trying a new style of videos and I brought a new microphone, so I just want to see if this is a quality that you guys will enjoy. Anyways, moving on, we have 390 dream glamours and 2 million monies, which is going to be a lot of monies. While this is very expensive, keep in mind that you don't need to do this completely for all your characters. You either want to do this on a character that is very strong, or they are your Oshi. So you wouldn't need to go the mile of just maxing a character's entire skill set. And for the most part, some Umas do not have both of their gold skills to be very effective, so you wouldn't need 2 million monies to max it out, so since you could easily skip that gold skill. Anyways, how do you obtain them? As you can clearly see, currently on global, we only have one method currently, since they have released it very early, which is going to be through the friendship shop. I highly recommend that you buy this monthly, since books are very good, and since you want to start to stockpile on these, the friendship shop is going to be your only method to get them currently. And currently on global, you only are allowed to upgrade a single Uma hint level of a common skill, just one level. It will become much easier later on, but they just released it very early on global. I believe we are the earliest server to get this, so yeah, keep that in mind. The next method is going to be from the story events. This is not 100% confirmation. The reason I'm going to tell you about this now is that currently global is all over the place. We got the balance changes very early on, and some of the quality of life features came out very early too. So I'm going to talk about this in case if it happens, but don't confirm this 100% yet. So in the Japanese version, if we quickly swap over here, this event would give you hint skill books upon reaching a specific amount of points. But in Makeup and Halloween, we don't actually get these, but they could just remove some of these rewards and give us hint the skill books instead, and that would be extremely helpful. So yeah, you should keep that in mind, but don't bank on it 100%. Now that I have given you the ways to get hint skill books, what are the best ways for us to spend these books on, since they are going to be scarce on global? If we take a look over here, this is going to be a very basic principle that you should follow, and I'm going to follow this. In the future, what cards are going to give this skill? For example, Mihano Bourbon is the only character in the game with the access of a skill called Track Blazer, which is going to be a very strong medium gold recovery skill, since it has been buffed to trigger from the top 3 instead of the first place position. So this card over here is going to come out very soon, or at least in a couple of months. This is the next club card, and it's a really good club card too, especially for frontrunners. This card is Mihano Bourbon, so we can't use this on Mihano Bourbon herself. However, this is a 1.5 year anniversary card, which is probably going to come out on June 26, 2026. Why? Because the anniversary is most likely 4 months apart for global instead of 6 months because of the accelerated schedule. And this card is from 2024, so this is not going to be valid. So technically now is a good skill to invest it on, since Mihano Bourbon is not going to have any way to decrease the amount of cost for this skill, and this skill base cost is 160. However, you want to also put a second principle. Will the character get a strong ult? For example, Mihano Bourbon gets the Valentine version, which is of course a really cracked frontrunner, so you wouldn't really want to use base Mihano Bourbon once Valentine Mihano Bourbon comes out. Another example is, could it overflow with my hint levels? For example, Simpuli Rudolph does have Professor of Curvature, and Kira-san Black could give you 3 hint levels of Professor of Curvature. So if we have level 3 Professor of Curvature on Simpuli Rudolph, Kira-san Black, if you use her for Simpuli Rudolph, she would only give you 2 hint levels instead of 3 hint levels. So maxing Professor of Curvature on Simpuli Rudolph could not actually be that beneficial. Instead, you would ideally wait for hint level 2 and get the good version of Kira-san Black and get hint level 3 for Professor of Curvature, which would let you get 5 hint levels, which is the maximum. Here is a very good example of this, which is going to be Enroaching Shadow. I know Naruto Taishin is memed upon in the community, but this is going to be a very good principle that everybody should follow. For example, Naruto Taishin, okay? Enroaching Shadow. What is current way to get it on global? Only Naruto Taishin has it. Next, we check which support cards give you Enroaching Shadow and what level of hints. So the first card is actually going to come out 2 years after Naruto Taishin's release. So Enroaching Shadow is going to be exclusive on Naruto Taishin only, which means that, of course, it could be a good idea to increase the hint levels for Naruto Taishin. And since Hishi Amazon, this card only gives you one hint level, that means that you will increase it to level 4, which doesn't really matter that much. So in general, Enroaching Shadow is a very good example of a good skill to improve your hint levels on. And that is going to be it. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next one.